Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this series of webinars that are going on, focusing on mass communication, journalism, public relations. Today, on behalf of Media and Entertainment Skills Council, in association with Global Media Education Council, this is Pooja Arora welcoming you all for this Creative Warrior online workshop with powered by Vidyadan. So here we have a lovely session today. We have already discussed about what is public relations, how important it is with the PR guru Suresh Gorji. And today we are going to cover ethical issues in public relations. That will be by Ms. Debabani Mukherjee. Ms. Debabani Mukherjee is a media educator and a teacher trainer and have been sharing knowledge with media aspirants and professionals for over 2 decades. She is a master's in mass communication and journalism and English from Calcutta University and Indira Gandhi Open University, respectively. Apart from getting associated with some of the renowned colleges across Kolkata, she was also associated for a period of 2 years with Symbiosis Institute of Media and Communication, Pune. During her professional career, she has worked in many organizations and universities in several capacities. Just to name a few: head of department, deputy director, coordinator, examination coordinator, mentor, national seminar coordinator, and departmental admission nodal head. At present, Ms. Mukherjee is working as an adjunct faculty with Pandit Deen Dayal Petroleum University, Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Such a wide experience and a lot more I can keep talking about Ms. Mukherjee, but let me take this privilege to welcome her to our platform. Ms. Mukherjee, we welcome you here on behalf of MESC and GMEC.
Thank you so much, Pooja. Thank you so much. It's a real honor, and I'm humbled to be a part of this great platform. And I am really excited to interact virtually with my student fraternity, my fresh student fraternity, who are eager to learn about the ethics of public relations. Thank you, Pooja, once again.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Having said this, I would not like to be a barrier now. I would like to hand over the session to you, and I'll be learning at the back end. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. A friend sitting on the other side of the laptop, who all I really cannot see. It's a virtual interaction, which has always been very painful for me during my tenure of teaching for so many years. But this is obvious a situation post-pandemic that we have an option that if not physically, we can meet virtually. But before I start with ethics of public relation, I would say that communication is a platform. Communication is a process which cannot be virtually done. It should always have a physical contact. It should have a reach. It should have eye-to-eye contact. But we are really unfortunate, 2021 and 2020 has been ideally the worst of the period for the entire globe. And we have switched on to another provision. So at least we can talk to each other through this microphone, through the laptop and other digitized media. Saying this, I will start with my topic today. I'll just share the screen. Is it okay? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It is natural that we start from the first slide, but I would begin from here. That is, what is ethics? Ethics is something which we all follow in life. It is a kind of moral philosophy. It is a kind of a principle which we keep on following. We learn from childhood. Like if we take up the Indian culture, the basic ethics of Indian culture is showing respect to elders. Either we touch their feet, or we say namaskar to them, or we say adab in different religions, Or if we follow the Christian religion also, we take the arm or we take the hand and we kiss on that. So these are the basic things, how we show our respect to our parents and to our elders. So starting from there, as we say, the charity begins at home. Starting from there, we start learning how to deal with people, how to deal with friends, children, colleagues, people in the company, relatives, neighbors, everywhere we start learning how to deal with people. And that goes into the much broader parameter, much broader area when we step into the world of public relations and corporate communications. So now, ethics defined here is the field of ethics, which is also called moral philosophy. Philosophy is the basics of life, without which we cannot live, which involves systematizing. We are structured, we are meandered in a proper way to lead a life, defending. If you want to defend also yourself, you should know ideally, ethically, how should you defend in an honest, moral procedure, and recommending concepts of right and wrong behavior. The right and wrong behavior is a very basic pattern of learning. Like when we are all children, we are all small, we are all kids in that level, what we do, we teach them the ethics of our country, we teach them Ramayana, we teach them Mahabharata, we talk about the stories of Ramayana. We are all aware that those are the mythology, certain incidents have really happened and certain have not. But we still teach them Ramayana, Mahabharata. We talk about Upanishad. Why do we do that? Because we try to embed in them which is right, which is good, which is bad, and which is wrong. The difference of good and bad is taught. Though once Shakespeare had quoted that good and bad, these two terms are very relative. What is good for me might not be good for you. What is bad for me might not be bad for you. But still, keeping on the ethical part in our mind, keeping on certain things, that honesty should be there, moral should be there, right work should be done, wrong behavior leads to more innumerable wrong things. We teach the basics with the beginning of our lives. And this is also embedded, this is also applied during the teaching, during the profession of public relations. Now I would go back to my first slide. Is this okay, Manushree?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible. Yes, ma'am, it's visible, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Okay.
you can make it full screen if possible. Function F5.
Function, yeah. Yeah. Now this is a story to begin with. Basic a story, how, suppose you're in an organization, you're in a company, you are associated with the company in the capacity of the corp head or maybe the public relations head, then how do you deal with the company daily matters? How do you work with them? Now, public relations practitioners constantly confront pressures. When you're a PR official, so you are constantly confronting a lot of pressures. That may be for the good, that may be for the bad. So you have to handle the pressure. You have to handle the situation of the company, and you have to face the media. You have to face the commoners. You have to face the mass. You have to protect your company, protect yourself, and of course, you have to face the mass, and you have to logically explain them the matter, what actually has happened. In several cases, the actuality of the matter cannot be explained. But then you have to use your mind, you have to use your brains and your intellect and your PR capacity to ensure people that what has happened for certain good reasons. You cannot put your company on stake. Neither can you put yourself on stake because your job is entwined over there. But what you do, you have to confront the pressure in a very logical and intelligent manner. to bend or twist the truth. For example, if a warehouse burns down, it could be tempting to make it seem like a minor incident. Burning a warehouse is not a small issue. It leads to a lot of explanations. It leads to a lot of waste. It leads to a lot of loss for the company. It could be tempting to make it seem like a minor incident when in fact the company has lost a significant amount of inventory. So as an honest PR, what is the job of the person? You have to prevent the public. You have to work in such a manner that you prevent the public and industry peers from coming back later and claiming you tried to cover up the seriousness of the loss. So you have to make them understand that what has happened is serious, but it is not negligible. If you say it is negligible, then you land up with so many questions. So instead, you would say it's serious, but it is an accident which has incidentally happened, which was not pre-planned, which was not intentional. See, it is always in our mind that whatever is happening down these days happens for a reason. I remember, this is a small anecdote. I remember a couple of years back, in Kolkata, there were two enormous film houses, not film houses, I would say film theaters. They were placed in a zone called the New Market. So Lighthouse and New Empire. These were supposed to be the best of the theaters. Film screens were huge, and we often in our younger stage, we often dropped in Lighthouse and New Empire to watch best of the best movies. But all of a sudden, it caught fire. And the entire infrastructure and the setup of the screen was ruined. Today, if you go to Lighthouse and Empire, you will find a larger section of it has become a restaurant. It has become a shopping mall. There is a small screen, It has been destructured from actually what it was. And as soon as it caught fire, there was a buzz in the market. There was buzz among the people that it has been intentionally done as film screening was not happening to a larger extent, and we were growing up with shopping malls, PVRs, Inoxes, Cineplexes. So these were not of use. So the owner thought that keeping a small screen and larger section be used as more or less as a shopping mall, or maybe certain joints like tea joint or coffee joint would give him more profit. So there was a buzz that this was an intentional effort to burn it down. But it is not necessary that this was an intentional effort. Now, the owner must have had a PR personnel in his own infrastructure. So under such circumstances, the PR personnel had to play a very honest role to prevent the public and industry peers from coming back later and claiming that you tried to cover up the seriousness of the loss. The PR person, whether it's a he or a she, they cannot allow the public to pounce upon them and say that it was intentional. So they have to go with valid, positive reasons. Instead, the PR practitioner can state the truth and emphasize the owner's determination to bounce back and not only replace the inventory, but build a safer warehouse. So in this example, I just talked about an anecdote, little story, which I have seen it. We've all went through that. This warehouse example, just to save the situation, now the people, in order to protect himself and the company from letting the people pouncing on them, they would say, yes, this is an incident which has happened, and now we are going to replace the entire inventory, and we would definitely look forward for a safer warehouse. In this way, the truth can be inspirational. You can generate the faith and trust in the minds of the people and instill confidence in the business. Now, what is an authentic context? An ethical public relations communication offers more than mere facts. It offers context for a story. Now, why this warehouse incident has been discussed? This is a story, a case study. Why did I discuss about the lighthouse in New Empire? It's a case study. Through case study, the PR professional always enhances his or her learning. It is not only, this learning is not only prisoned amidst the 4 pages, amidst the 4 boundaries of a page. It is not imprisoned in a book. The PR personnel is always on field and learns much more beyond the book by handling different case studies, different crisis situations, different happenings. And through these happenings, amidst the crisis situation, he develops his own knowledge and how to protect himself and the company from getting more diluted. And ethical public relations communication offers more than mere facts. It offers context of a story. This means explaining to readers why an event has importance or why company leaders take the stance they take. There are certain company leaders who knows that if we take a new stance, if we bring in a change, then our profit would rise and we can go for a much higher amount of a sale. For example, simply announcing that the business has recalled a product due to safety concerns could be accurate. So when a business personnel is announcing that, see, we have launched this product in the market because this is not our product directly, but we have decided to develop this product and launch it in the market so that we get an accurate feedback of the number of people, the number of stakeholders, that how they're taking it up. So what happens? People start thinking twice. The consumers start thinking twice. For example, we are all aware of a brand called Bata, P-A-T-A. It's famous for its shoes, especially school shoes. Now, Bata has not restricted itself to school shoes. Few years down the line, when it has already established its own market for school shoes, the black shoes, the formal shoes, it went for another change. What was the change? It started making fancy shoes, fashionable shoes for women, which Bata was never famous of. Then it went on formulating with women bags, women purses. Now Bata is again famous for shoes and slippers like Dr. Scholl's, which is a medicated shoe for the elderly people having problems with limbs, having problems in walking. It is a very soft sole. It is a very soft sole which helps this elderly citizens to walk on the road. They are generally affected by arthritis. These people are affected by bone problem, and they cannot afford to wear very fancy high heels, stilettos or wedge heels and walk down the road. So they need a special kind of shoe, a medicated shoe to walk down. Now, Bata has invented this and it has spread it in the market, which has already cut a mark. Over and over the years, I've seen my mother, I've seen my grandmothers, I have seen my relatives also, very senior citizens, that they all prefer this Dr. Scholl's and other other shoes, other brands like Mochi, then maybe Woodlands. They are also upcoming with those medicated shoes right now. So what happened? This was a chance which Bata, the shoemaker, they wanted to launch it in the market. This was a chance. And through the PR people, through the product launched in the market, to so many things, these people finally caught the market. So this is a PR exercise before launching the product in the market, that how would it be taken by the consumers? What would be the exact area which could be hit? However, if this recall were the result of a government agency raising the concerns, that information would have to be included by an ethical PR practitioner. Now, once they are launching the product in the market, the PR practitioner has to get in touch with certain preliminary areas like the government, like other sectors, major stakeholders. They have to get in touch with these people create a liaise, and of course, then this PR practitioner would help the company to gradually and slowly launch the products in the market. They might and may do certain promotions, which would be audio, which would be through visualization, which would be on the hoardings. They might do that, and they can then gradually take up the market. Here, the PR practitioner again should follow the ethical rules and regulations. That means a line of honesty and a line of proper moral should be there. It is not that Bata is launching the shoe to enhance, to embark its business on a much larger level. Of course, the business factor is there, the profit is there, but there is also a moral value which would hit the consumer's mind and they would abide by it. Now, advising the leaders. The PR practitioner also has a duty to advise the leaders. PR practitioners face an important ethical issue when advising company leaders. Now, when they are motivating the company leaders, basically PR practitioners have a weird way of working. I mean, I have been into the PR world. I've also worked with one of the best corporates in the PR and corporate communications department. I have seen that when one is on field or one is representing the company, they have a kin, they have a liaise with the laborers till the managing director, with the laborers and the junior officials on a horizontal level, and up when it is growing through different layers of, say, the officers, the senior officers, the executives, finally to the MD. It is a vertical level. So the public relation officer is communicating his thought process, his knowledge, his advice on a vertical level, on a horizontal level. So now when it is advising the company leaders who would take his advice and abide by it, these practitioners may have to master a great deal of courage when confronting leaders. Once you sit with the leaders, once you sit with an MD, you have to influence the person on a very ethical note that the company requires certain changes to cut a deeper influence in the market. And to that, you have to gain a lot of courage. You have to master a great deal of courage, confront with the leaders who are contemplating violating the company's values. Now, the leaders have the company's values embedded in their mind. So once you want those values to grow, you have to deconstruct those values, and keeping the ethical issues in the mind, you have to work with them, you have to sit with them and make them believe that whatever I as a PR practitioner or you as a PR practitioner, you need to do the particular, you need to follow the particular agenda or the changed agenda for the betterment of the company. For example, if a leader is considering reducing employee hours so that they will not qualify as full-time workers and thus won't receive benefits, it's the PR practitioner's duty to speak up. Now, the leader might say, I require 40 people and not 140 people. Now, if he starts chucking out 100 people, 100 people goes unemployed, they are on the streets. And there has been a recent incident with Twitter. With Twitter, we all know globally it has happened with Twitter. The new CEO who has been appointed felt that he does not require an excess number of 2,000 people. He requires a certain fresh blood. He requires young blood to work for the company. So he has, I hope you all have read the news. So he has chucked out the 2,000 people. Now, what would happen to those 2,000 people? They would be on roads and staying in behemoth country like US, where you don't have a salary at the end of the month. It is a most difficult task to survive because it is a real costly country. So now, if we visualize or if we imagine that there was a PR practitioner, of course, there is a PR practitioner, a Corpcom representative with Twitter, who could have ideally explained the CEO that you should not chuck out, you should not drop down 2,000 workers. You take fresh blood, you take young blood, but you also appoint them in a way, or you can push out a handful number of people whom you really think is of no use for the company, but keep the larger section. Keep the larger section who can help you out on a different note. You can mobilize them on a different note. It would have been a better situation. Now, once this has happened, this has become a global issue. This has become a global news. So the PR practitioner, what he has to do, he has to explain it as per this example, which we can see on the screen. He has to explain the leader that why he should not chuck out those people, why he should stick to those people and to mobilize them. It's the PR practitioner's duty to speak up. Now he has to work out on that. He has to think wisely how to influence the people. In this case, the practitioner has a duty to not only point out the ethical misstep the leader is ethically, a leader is now taking a misstep. Again, taking the example of Twitter, the CEO of the Twitter who took a misstep. This is a misstep by pushing out the people. What happens? It talks about the image of the company. So next, when certain people are absorbed in the company, they will always work with the hunch in their mind that any day, any morning, I can be handed over with a pink slip. What is a pink slip? That you are no more required in the company. I can be handed over with a pink slip. So there is no confidence to work. Naturally, if the confidence of work lacks, if the employee keeps on feeling that there's no point working here, this is not a fair enough company who would be providing me with a lot of infrastructures and everything. This is not a proper company. I should be parallelly looking for other jobs. What will happen? People, what we say in our management, there's a term that is attrition rate. If the attrition rate is too high, what happens to the company? The company growth stops. So here is the ethical role of the practitioner, that it is a duty to not only point out the ethical misstep of the leader, but it also to raise the issue that how the press and the public will judge the decision, which is exactly now how the press and public is judging the decision of the Twitter CEO, and people are talking about it. Had the CEO listened to the corporate club leader or the PR practitioner existing in Twitter, had he wisely thought about I'm sure we are all sure that there has been a long discussion. Had the discussion created an impact on the CEO's mind, this state of press discussion, this state of judging the company would have not arisen. What are the fellow sponsors? Ethics come into play when a PR practitioner announces a company's involvement in social causes, charities, and fundraising events. So ethics is very important over here, because for a social cause, if your company is going for a social cause, like it wants to take up a certain area of people from the slums, it wants to go for fundraising and treating the slum people, the practitioner has an ethical duty to reveal not only her client's involvement, but the involvement of other sponsors. For example, if her client's company sponsored a marathon and a controversial company was also involved, that should be included in the announcement. Now, when a company like Tata Steel, it often arranges marathon. Every year it goes for a Tata Steel marathon. Suppose in this arrangement of a marathon, it involves a company, say company XYZ, which is existing in the market, but it has got a lot of negative news, lot of negative informations about it in the market. Tata Steel has still collaborated with it. Maybe Tata Steel is gaining some brownie points from that company, and in the collaboration would enhance 2 more steps. So during the announcement that the marathon is happening from such and such place in Kolkata to such and such place, in the banner, the name of this company should be there. You cannot hide it. Now, it is the work of the PR practitioner, it is the work of the corporate communications department that Tata Steel, along with such and such, is working for a day-long marathon or maybe a national marathon on such and such date happening in Kolkata from such and such area. So here the PR person, the public relation professional, the public relations officer or the CorpCom representative has its own duty to ethically take up the name. You cannot hide it. If you have hidden the name and it is it comes in front of the press, it has been exposed to the press, what happens? It reflects the image, the brand image of the bigger company, of the major company, Tata Steel, and it cuts a low mark on the PR end also, that you have hidden. Why did you hide it? We all know this, the second company is not so important, but still you could have taken the name. If you have hidden it, there must be some wrong deeds in between. So the PR personnel has to be very conscious while arranging such programs. Public relations practitioners have to strive to overcome the bad reputations of spin doctors who twist the truth to suit their clients' needs. A true public relations practitioner actually adheres to a strict code of ethics promoted the Public Relations Society of America. When you study public relations, you have to study the public relations ethics which are promoted by the PR Society of America and the Institute of PR. These are the basic chapters of the curriculum, which we all have gone through. A small business can use PR effectively if the PR practitioner follows the accepted ethics of the profession in dealing the common issues. So what happens? Suppose in a hospital, like a couple of years back, a hospital based in Kolkata called Amri, AMRI, caught fire. And it was a devastated situation where very serious patients, the ICU patients, the HTU patients with, they were binded with different oxygen tubes and food tubes and everything. They did not, majorly those people who were under ventilation, they could not come out of that fire. And those who could had a little bit of knowledge, had a little bit of sense in them. They scrambled down the walls. They were pulled out of this situation. They were tried to save. Some people were saved. Some people were not. So that was a deteriorating situation in that hospital. And the hospital was shut down for more than a year. And n number of patients died. N number of patients, while scrambling down the wall, met with an accident and died. It was a gruesome situation, absolutely. So amidst this gruesome situation, this hospital had a wide enough name. It had a big brand. But what happened to them in this under such gruesome situation? Their PR section was affected because the PR had to face the press. Now, when the PR is facing the press and it is a healthcare situation, it is about a hospital, he or she had to take care of the doctors who were working there because they had their jobs. It had to deal with the management. It had to deal with the public. It had to deal with the patient party. It had to deal with the press. So amidst such a very complicated situation, if they had to protect the bad reputations of the infrastructure, it might have led because of the cylinder burst. And there are a lot of cylinders over there. The kitchens are filled with cylinders. The hospital kitchens are filled with cylinders, the gas cylinders where they cook. There are a lot of oxygen cylinders. So the calamity may have happened because of the bursting of oxygen cylinders, or maybe the bursting of the gas cylinders, whatever it may be. It might have been intentional, might not have been intentional. But the PR personnel, knowing exactly what has happened, it cannot speak all negative things. He has to protect his own company and his own people. And he also has to protect the company in front of the mass, in front of the press. So under such circumstances, in order to overcome the bad reputations of the spin doctors, the doctors might have played a negative role, who twist the truth to suit their clients. So doctors might have said anything in front of the patients. Because of this has happened. Because of that has happened. Now, the PR practitioner cannot afford to abide by this. The PR practitioner has to speak up in such a way, has to motivate the lines in such a way, has to motivate his sentences constructed in such a way that a point of trust, a point of faith is generated amidst the press and news. It is a very difficult job for a PR practitioner to maintain the ethics, to maintain the laws, to maintain the company's brand image, to keep the safeguard and face the public. This line we went through right in the beginning. The field of ethics, which is very important. Philosophy is the most important thing in our life. However much we talk about digitization, however much we are corrupted in this society, however much we go through nepotism, however much we go through wrong deeds, however much bribing happens, whatever is happening is across the society. The bottom line is philosophy, which deals our life. And one, we all wait for a one sunny morning. We believe that behind every cloud, there is a silver lining, and we all wait for a one sunny morning, which would help us to grow, which would once again allow us to live with our head held high, whatever might the situation right now be. It is true that we are going through the yug, which is called Kali Yug, and there will be several negative things. People would find it difficult to live. There would be a lot of negative vibes. But amidst that, it is our duty. It is the duty of the PR of a company. It is the duty of the human beings. PR also happens in a home. It also happens in a home. As we say, as I already said, that charity begins at home. We should always abide by systematizing, defending, and recommending concept of right and wrong behavior. Definitions of ethics normally have common the elements of requiring some form of systematic analysis, distinguishing right from wrong and determining the nature of what should be valued. If we don't believe in value systems, why we go through our ethics? Why we say that India, Bharat Varsh, is a country of 70,000 monks. It is a country of spirituality. It is a country where Ramayana and Mahabharata had happened. It is a country of Upanishad. It is a country of 4 Vedas. Why do we say? Because we still believe in the values. And public relation is such an area which has not come because of these corporate organizations. Today, we see corporate organizations. We talk about public relations. We talk about PR and CC, corporate communications. It is a big umbrella, and the company is based on that. We talk about this. But ages and ages back, when Earth was the world, the globe was just forming. And if you take into account about the mythology, the biggest PR person, and I think some of you know, but if you also don't know, there's no harm in learning once again. The biggest PR person, which we all know about him, was Narad Muni. Narada was the person who used to travel from the Swargalok to the Martalok to the Patalok to collect all kinds of news and then cater into the Swargalok. So he is considered as the chief PR person and definitely a person full of ethics and moral values. Again, when King Ashoka from Chandashak transformed into Dharmashak, he started preaching PR across the country, starting from Sri Lanka, starting from Kashmir to Sri Lanka, from Gujarat to the northeast. He established certain rocks, certain pillars, where he wrote about Buddhism. What were the concepts of Buddhism in the Pali language for the people to understand? He became a disciple of Lord Buddha, and he started preaching Buddhism through his children across the country. So PR and its ethics and its value system starts from there. And without it, it is very difficult to go ahead. In the public relations discipline, ethics includes values such as honesty, openness, loyalty, fair-mindedness, respect, integrity, and forthright communication. So ideally, on field, we need to follow these characteristics: honesty, openness, loyalty, fair-mindedness, respect, integrity, and forthright communication. I'm very sure we do not follow this ideally, but if ethics is kept in mind, which is the base of a society, the value system is the base of a society. If we keep that in mind, we need to keep these points also. This definition of public relations ethics goes far beyond the olden days of flacking for space or spinning some persuasive message, but this view is not shared by everyone. Now, this flacking for flacking for space means you have to obtain a certain area where you can use your message. You can pursue the people with your message, and in such a way that they are convinced. That is the work of a PR person. And while convincing the people, you should keep in mind that your openness about the knowledge, openness about the matter is clear. You should be honest, and the loyalty and fair-mindedness should also work so that the people do not lose faith in you. Beliefs about ethics. Current research supports a historical trend of associating PR with all things unethical, lying, spin doctrine, and even espionage. It is like fooling the people. It is the current trend. As we talked about corruption and nepotism, we talked about all lying across. This is the current societal trend. Everybody is lying. We cannot trust people. If you trust a person, it is very sure that beyond a certain point, this person will come back to you. And by the time this person reaches you, you are already stabbed. So you have to be very conscious. You have to be very cautious while you're working these days, because the society is completely wrapped up with lying, spin doctrine, and espionage. Many critics argue that there can be no ethical public relations because the practice itself is akin to manipulation and propaganda. Now, this is a debate. If we follow ethics, can we really become good PRs? Because PR itself says that it is all about manipulating people and the propaganda of the company. An unfortunate belief among many journalists, policymakers, and laymen is the belief that the term PR ethics is an oxymoron. It is something which cannot happen. It is only stuck within the book. It is only stuck in the curriculum. It cannot happen. Either an unreal possibility or smoke and mirrors to hide deception. So if you go by this page, if you go by this point, then PR ethics is nothing, but it is all smoky affair. It is all diluted affair. It is always hiding something, hiding the wrong. It is hiding actually the right things have happened, and we are hiding it because to protect ourselves. Now, if you avoid ethics, if you avoid PR in such a mode, in a negative fashion, then public relations and corporate communication does not keep a meaning. Then the company is ideally doing something wrong, or it is misguiding the market, or it is up to shutdown. It can go for a shutdown. It is actually preventing the people for a certain amount of time before it completely closes the brand, or it goes for a different brand or something else. Many companies have shut down. Many big companies which used to prevail in our country have shut down under different circumstances. But if you ideally talk about PR, the PR person at that point of time, if you ask me as a PR professional, as a teacher, I would always say that public relation professional, the PR officer at that point of time, should still abide by the ethics. He has to face a crisis in front of his own company people, that by telling the truth, you are actually opening the eyes of the public. So in that case, he also has to manipulate certain areas. He has to tell the truth. He's bound to tell the truth, but in such a way that he creates a bridge between the complete truth and whatever he is saying. He creates a bridge so that the company and the employees associated with the company can stand at the bridge for a certain period of time before the company goes shut for a shutdown. Now, it is a very difficult task. If we straight away say that we manipulate, we talk all lies, we manipulate, we just do our work so that we get a salary at the end of the day, end of the month. That is not the deed of actual PR professional, actual .com professional. If you go back to mythology, then if we can dig and delve into the history of Narad Muni, we can come up with the thought that did Narad Muni also talk about manipulation? Whatever he narrated to his management, who was Vishnu and Shiva and Brahma, was it manipulated? Was it just a propaganda? Was it only about talking negative or manipulating against the Martalok people or the Patalok people? He was a PR professional. So did he always talk about the misdeeds? No, he did not. He did not. That is the reason still today, when talking about PR ethics, when talking about public relations in general, we still take the example of this mythology. We still take example of India's age-old history. We take the example of the monks, what they said. Did they all manipulate? No, they did not. Amidst this corrupted situation, amidst such a mystical situation or today's global situation, in order to prevent us from losing a job, in order to prevent ourselves from what kind of wrong deeds we do, we take the help of a lot of lies to prevent ourselves. But in the long run, these lies really don't work out. These non-ethical work does not work out, because as Coleridge had always said in his poems, Coleridge had always mentioned that the blue sky bends over all. At the end of the day, the truth will come up, the value system will come. 5 common ethical issues in the workplace: unethical leadership, toxic workplace culture. If you want to change the culture of a place, the toxicity of the place, you have to be very particular. If the entire ambience is toxic and you are a person who is fighting for ethical issues, it becomes a very difficult task to work. Discrimination and harassment, which is a very common thing happening in workplaces. Discrimination, background, religion, caste, and which is leading to the harassment for employees. Unrealistic and conflicting goals. This is very unrealistic and conflicting goals. Unrealistic, which cannot happen on the market. Conflicting the goals, which cannot happen in the market. These things cannot happen in the market. And the companies running for it. Questionable use of company technology. How is the technology being used by the company people? How is the digitization helpful for the company, whether it is good or bad? Now, against these unethical issues like leadership, wrong leadership leading to wrong deeds, toxic workplace, discrimination, harassment, unrealistic, the PR person has to work extensively on those, so that the entire company structure, the growth goes in a positive way, in a proper manner. Now, we have come to the conclusion. I'm sure we can go forward for discussion and questionnaires. And I think towards the end of the presentation, I could clear your minds with the ethical part of the job. And if you are stepping into a company where you can see the toxicity, you can see the harassment, you can see unethical deeds, you can see people are scratching each other, you can see the leadership is not perfect, you have a much, much bigger task to imbibe the value system, to imbibe much more ethical things, and you have to work on that. If you are all alone, you have to set up a team. And if your team is abiding by you, then you have to gradually seep in the right things in the company, in the organization, to bring back its shape, to redeem it from the toxicity and let it grow on a healthy manner. Thank you so much for giving me this platform and the privilege to talk to you across.
Ma'am, if you can close the share. Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. It was like wonderful session. I'm sure that those who are watching right now, those who are watching through YouTube, and also this is a very informative session. They got a lot of information from your end, and the session is so wonderful. Like, I'm literally enjoying the session. And if it, ma'am, I have a question. Like, so do you, ma'am, feel that the public relation can influence the media industry? Like, as you have talked about the IT sector, the health sector. So this public relation can influence in media industry especially.
Absolutely. See, when we are talking about media, media has become more of sensitization, less of truth. It has become a crony journalism. So whatever we see in media is not the exact thing which has happened. Whatever we read the news, it is all full of violence. It is full of bloodshed. Whenever you open the television or you go through a newspaper or whatever it is in the morning, you will see all negative news. What is news? It is, what is the press doing? Press is the mirror, which is reflecting the society. Press is the fourth state, which is talking about the situation, the current situation, and providing us with the knowledge. So if the knowledge is unethical, if the press is controlled by its owner and pushed, and the journalists are pushed to write the wrong things, then how do you think the society will grow up? It will not grow up. And as a PR personnel and as a professional, all the newspaper organizations, the television channels, there is a PR person who keeps the liaison, who looks after the, the TRPs, the distribution section of the newspapers, who looks after the advertisement, how it is infecting the people, how is it is improvising the people. So there is a public relation factor everywhere. As I said, PR begins from home. You know how to talk to your parents. You cannot shout at your parents, though we all do it. But value system does not talk about that. Ethics does not talk. So PR is something which is anywhere and everywhere, and we cannot just get rid of it. It has to be there. Yes, Manisha?
Yes, ma'am, as we heard about HR in education sector, so does this PR exist in education sector as well? Like,
of course, the growth of the education system, since we have privatized a major section of education. We have a lot of government colleges and universities, but we have a lot of private organizations, private educational sectors, where we have an HR also. HR takes care of the employee recruitment and takes care of how the employee is working, takes care of the motivation of the employees also, and also it also takes care of the growth of the educational sector, because private organizations are student-driven organizations. It depends on the revenue generated by the students. So if the students are unhappy, it totally affects the brand. It affects the image of the education sector, and the students would gradually move out from the sector. The word of mouth will not be positive. It will not be on a good note. They will not leave the college or the university on a happy note. So this is also a part which the human resource has to take care. And there a PR note always works. If the human resource is not into good alliance with the with his or her colleagues, with the employees and with the students, then I presume there would be a difficulty for the university and the college to go to work in the long run.
Ma'am, as you mentioned, there are so many ethical issues in PR section. So, ma'am, what are the important things to handle the issues?
See, while you're handling an issue, preliminary, you have to first observe what are the difficult situations in a company, in an organization, in a college, or in a university. You have to gather those points. Suppose we discussed about toxicity. We discussed about harassment. We discussed about the bad leadership. Management can be a bad leader. So take for example, if considering a human being, if the person is a weird-minded person, if he does not know what he's saying, if he is always flouting from his words, naturally his deeds would be also wrong. So if the management is flouting from his or her words, if the management is always getting carried off by people saying, then the company or the organization, the educational sector can't grow. So this is one big point which the PR has to watch out. Then the toxicity, the kind of people who are working, underqualified, underrated, underqualified, not up to the mark, no growth, no development, low-end salary, forcing them to remain in that position because they don't have a chance to go somewhere else. They don't have a chance to move on. They're sticking there. On a low salary, there's no proper appraisals, there's no proper improvement, nothing is there. This is one big point which the PR should take up. PR I'm talking about the education as well as a company, as an MNC, we would say. So you have to have a team. One single person fighting against 25 negative people is not possible. So PR has to be intelligent enough to have a team of his or her own and influence the people with different functions, different activities, teamwork, the team bonding exercise, different activities, different small incidents, different functions, different, say, celebrations, so that the feel of good things happening, the feel of happy things happening starts flowing into that. This is a very important task, a very difficult task. And if the PR person manages to overcome all that and give the company a new shape, the college or university, the new shape, then he has really done a success. He's really successful in life. And he would be always claimed as a very influential and a very good PR guru, and he would be accepted in many other organizations to change the shape and structure.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for all this entire session. Thank you so much. Amri sir is here. We would
Hello,
love
sir.
to listen from sir's end. So over to you. Sir, you are muted, sir. You are muted.
Yeah, I said that it is sometimes good to be a listener. I was very patiently listening to.
Thank you, sir, for your patient listening.
Debabani Mukherjee, and because she gave such a vivid account of public relations. This was one composite class wherein anybody who would have gone through it or would listen the video later will understand all aspects of public relations. And then also the ethical issues, because ethics is one such area which is mostly neglected. Whether it comes to teaching, teachers also do not emphasize much on ethical aspect, be it journalism, be it public relations, or I mean any aspect of media. And obviously, when you join the industry, then you will find that in most of the organizations they neglect ethics. And they will, whatever claims are made by the organizations in media sector, but then practically we find that there are no ethics followed mostly. So, but then if at the educational level, while we have our students in the classes, we can teach them properly and can sensitize them that ethics is equally important, the way the profit making is important, the way the sustenance of the financial growth or of the organization is important, then I think things will definitely be better, things will improve. So that was one very, very important aspect, because I also believe that not everything is possible to handle with legal measures. In any profession, ethical things have to be there, and any ethics depend a lot of things on the organizational value system and also the individual value system. So as a media professional, each one of us have to think that how we can do better, how we can perform better, how we can work as a member of the team, how we can, think that whatever we are doing are finally the clients, the consumers, the receivers, they are not being befooled, they are getting their due. So if all these things are kept in mind, then obviously professionally we all will be better, and there will be a better performance in whichever sector, whichever organization we are working with. So that is all what
Thank
I
you, sir.
say on this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your patient listening. And we all should first teach ourselves the value system, and then we should believe in relationships, and then we should go for public relations and corporate communications.
Right.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Manishri. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. So now we will conclude the session here. But before conclude the session, I would love to introduce, or I actually need to inform everyone that tomorrow we have another session reported by Ms. Ashwati Mary Varghese. And the topic is the role of mass media in health communication. Please stay with us and watch our YouTube channel and follow the other social media platforms as well. Thank you so much.
Can I leave now, Manishri?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone. Have a good day.
Same to you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.